Good morning and welcome to another video on the Gobblemaster YouTube channel. Now you guys, I don't really like working, so I had an idea. How about I just make money by doing things that I like doing anyway, so it doesn't feel like work. And I'm a fella who occasionally likes to repair stuff. And I've seen these YouTube videos where people will basically just destroy their own tools just to restore them again. And then they'll act like they restored some 100-year-old pepper grinder. Like, bro, do you have a fucking acid lake in your basement? Like, how do you even let it get that bad? There is no way you just picked that up somewhere and now you're restoring it. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, so I had the idea to do basically exactly that, but instead of faking it, I'll just buy broken tools because they're really cheap and then repair them and sell them for a profit. I know, it's innovative. Okay, so these are all of the tools that I bought. In total, I spent about... I actually have no idea how much I spent, but I will put it on screen right now. It would probably be helpful to know how much I spent if I'm trying to make money off of this, but yeah. Anyway, to start off with, I took apart this lawn aerator because it smelled like my ass crack after a long hot summer day. And as soon as I plugged it in, the problem was pretty obvious. And no, it's not supposed to do that. I think. Now, that motor's fucked, but I do have an idea. That motor seems to be around the same size. And I think it probably even fits the same belt, so I might be able to just exchange the motors. Yeah, and that didn't work at all, and replacing the motor just isn't worth it because they're too expensive, so this one's going in the trash. Then I repaired this Makita lawnmower. The problem here was that the brake was constantly engaged, so I just tightened it back up and now it works flawless. The real issue is that as soon as the lawnmower worked, my dad suddenly needed a new lawnmower. But he did give me this absolute beast of a machine in exchange. This small Bosch bush cutter most of the time works, but sometimes it doesn't. So I guess it would be an electrical issue. I took it apart and I quickly found out that the cable had a disconnect, so I just shortened the cable a little bit, reconnected it, and now it works fine. I'd like to show you the problem exactly. Unfortunately, unlike me, you can't see electrons, so you just have to trust me on that. The bush cutter bush cutting test does show that the bush cutter does indeed cut bush, which is good because if the bush cutter wouldn't cut bush, it would not be a bush cutter. Does it make sense? The problem this bush cutter has should be pretty obvious. It's red, which means it's a communist. And that's probably why it doesn't like to work. And also the trigger was broken, so I just 3D printed a replacement piece, put it in, and look at that bush cutter cutting bush. Wow. Okay, off to the next one. Lawnmower review. We have a Gardena brand lawnmower. Old as fuck, but still looks good. This lawnmower just had a broken belt, so I bought a new one and replaced it. And I gotta be honest, it's kind of impressive how these Chinese children do this all fucking day, because I replaced this one belt and my fingers hurt. I would be a horrible child laborer. And as you can see here, not only does it cut the shit that I cut down before, like butter, it also cuts cables like butter. I have no idea where this cable came from, I don't know what it does, but I know it doesn't do anything anymore. Finally, we have arrived at the chainsaws. The only thing that people really care about because they're cool. Now this chainsaw just had a broken starter, so I just replaced it, and as you can see, that shit's crispy. Huh? Bruh. Okay, now let's go for the big one. And if you also want your chainsaw to smoke like that, keep in mind to always use gasoline that you found in plastic bottles lying around. Don't tighten it up too much so children can still open it, and put it in a place where children might find it and confuse it with juice or something similar. You would expect the chainsaw to actually cut things, but you would be wrong. This shit does not cut at all. This shit sucks massive ass. So I'll just sell it with a broken chain and tell them that they have to get a new one for it. But the chainsaw itself works, and that's the most important part. The second chainsaw had a problem with its ignition, so I just replaced the ignition. Yo, watch this shit. I'm kind of missing two screws on the top here. Yeah, it's not like a chainsaw is dangerous or anything, so I'll just leave this like it is. I don't have those screws right now and I just don't want to get them, so It's good enough. And there's just something especially goofy looking if you're trying to start a chainsaw and it doesn't start. I don't know what it is. It just looks so fucking bad. I mean, look at me. Whew. I don't know if I can even post this. I don't know. I might delete this. Apparently it only works if you turn it off. That doesn't seem dangerous. Now it's turned on. Nothing. Now I turn it off. Hey, it's not my fucking mistake. I don't know why it only works if it turns off. I got my safety boots on. One noticeable thing about the chainsaw is that it has absolutely zero safety features. I mean, not only does it only work if you turn it off, it also has no chain brake and it also has no guard. And the kind of spikes in the front that you normally like stick in the fucking tree to cut it, they're like dull. So if you're really going for that 9-finger Larry look, I can recommend you this chainsaw. If not, maybe get a new one.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
It is a few months later now and I've sold all of the tools and I made exactly 175 euros. And I spent exactly 140 euros. So I made 35 euros profit. Is that worth the time I spent? Absolutely not. Do I regret